Stylists, this is a second part in my video on how to correctly adjust the tension on the pivot screw on your shears. Now, if you have this type of screw on your shears, this is called a ThumbNut screw. It might have a few different varieties, as you see here, and we're going to talk about how to correctly adjust the tension. Because if the tension's wrong, your shears can go dull faster, you can work your hand harder, or the hair will just flip and fold if you have the wrong tension on your shears. ThumbNut screws are the easiest of all the different types of shears to adjust the screw. Some of these will be very decorative, some might be very plain, some will be like more of a cap, and other ones will be more like a nut. But all of these can be adjusted easily with your hands in most cases. They'll all be raised up, which some hairstylists don't like the large nut. This is the correct adjustment on this shear. You see the finger rest is down. I drop this side and it moves, but it doesn't fall all the way down. Now, if I were to open it up, and I recommend this after you've adjusted your shear, and wiggle the handles. Now you have to do it all the way open. If you do it with it partly closed, you can nick the two sides. So with it all the way open, I'm wiggling it, and it will loosen up. This one didn't loosen up too much, but you want to wiggle it until it keeps its adjustment. So this one is adjusted correctly. If it were loose, and I'm clicking it about 3 or 4 more clicks so it goes loose like this. If this were loose, let me show you what happens. When I go to cut hair, you see the hair folds instead of cutting. So I could make it cut, but I would have to use a crab grip. Can you see that? That's going to hurt my hand. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. Also, those blades aren't designed to come across each other like that, and your shears are going to dull out faster. So you want to always check your adjustment. I suggest at the end of the day, turn that screw and adjust it to where you feel like it's right. And remember, it's clockwise. And that's might be a little bit on the tight side, but if that feels good to you, wiggle it. You can also put it in your hand, and it should be able to kind of bounce off your thumb. That feels about right to you. Different brands of shears will have different suggested adjustments, but in general, I think if you adjust your shears where they'll close a little bit from here to here, any in that area, that would feel most comfortable for you and give you the nicest cut. Now, there are all kinds of pieces underneath these screws that if you start taking these apart to clean them, it's very difficult to put them back. It's easy to lose them. You can cause all kinds of problems. So my suggestion is, if you need to clean underneath them, you can use some dental floss. You can use like a little brush, toothbrush, or whatever, but don't take this screw out. Don't loosen it too much. And the other thing, you don't ever want to put any kind of moisture in here, no barbicide. This should just be oil underneath this pivot, because it can rust. It can rust. If your nut is stuck and you can't turn it with your fingers, you can always get a little pair of pliers, and gives you a little bit better grip so you can turn it. Some of their screws are not up as high, and they're a little bit more difficult to get a hold of with your fingers. So on those cases, what I use and what you can use is a little pair of pliers. So I hope that was helpful in knowing how to adjust your typical ThumbNut screw.